And howdy, howdy, neighbors. This is DJ Davenport welcoming you and yours to another Access to Bluegrass show. Today we have some folk music for you, and we hope you'll enjoy that. Today's program is being brought to you by Harper Run Communication Arts, a business-to-business communication. We'll read just a little bit here of what people have said about the gentleman that we're bringing on. Kathy Fink says one of the hottest pickers around, up there with Doc Watson and Norman Blake. The best picker I've heard in ages. Kathy Fink is I'm sure you've heard of her, and Garrison Keeler has quite a write-up about him. From the Prairie Home Companion show, and says he envies the great voice of this gentleman. Bluegrass Unlimited has a big write-up about him, and several other people, including the Kalamazoo Gazette, the Vancouver, Illinois Times, and this goes on and on here. This is quite a long piece of paper, so we won't go through all of that. Okay? Instead, we will let you hear and make up your own mind. And here is the great Joel Mabus. Take it away, Joel.
One evening getting dark, I met her at the park. She was standing by the fountain all alone. I lifted up my hat and we began to chat. She said she'd allow me to see her at her home. Such a star I've never seen. She's pretty as a queen, perfect as an angel from above. If she'd only be my wife, I'd live happy all my life with that aggravating beauty, Lula Walls. If she would be mine, I'd build a house so fine, around it put many fences tall. It would make me jealous free just to know that only me would gaze upon that beauty, Lula Walls. Such a star I've never seen. She's pretty as a queen, perfect as an angel from above. If she'd only be my wife, I'd live happy all my life with that aggravating beauty, Lula Walls. One evening getting late, I met her at the gate. I asked her would she wed me in the fall, but she only looked away and nothing would she say. That aggravating beauty, Lula Walls. Such a star I've never seen. She's pretty as a queen, perfect as an angel from above. If she'd only be my wife, I'd live happy all my life with that aggravating beauty, Lula Walls. Such a star I've never seen. She's pretty as a queen, perfect as an angel from above. If she'd only be my wife, I'd live happy all my life with that aggravating beauty, Lula Walls. Ah, yeah, Lula Walls is an old Carter family song. A.P. Carter wrote that down in Virginia many years ago. And I'm glad to be here. Going to do some old-time songs and a few of my own songs, too. And a few fiddle tunes in between. One of my hobbies is figuring out how to play fiddle tunes on the guitar. And there's a lot of lore that goes with fiddle tunes, and I've always wondered about this one. It's one called Durang's Hornpipe. And I've known this for a long time, and there's all sorts of versions out there. There's versions you hear from the South and versions you hear from New England, versions that are all really a little bit different. And I found out the story. A guy named Durang, about in 1830s, was a clog dancer. He was a dancer. He'd go around and do shows. He was English. He went from one music hall to another, doing shows. And he commissioned someone to write him a tune that he called Durang's Hornpipe. Had it printed up in sheet music, and took it with him. He went on tour around the world. He came to the United States, Australia, all of Europe. And everywhere he went, he handed this to the local fiddle player and said, "Play this tune for me while I dance." And the fiddle players, as some of you may know, aren't always so good at reading music. And as a result, there's hundreds of versions of this tune 150, 170 years later. But this is the way I play it, Durang's Hornpipe. Playing that guitar in what's called a flat picking style. Now, a lot of guitar players know what I mean when I say flat picking, and some folks don't. But let me sing you a song I wrote for one of my heroes on the guitar, a fellow named Doc Watson, that friends of Bluegrass music who might be watching this show are well aware of Doc and the contribution he's made to American music and to bluegrass and country and old-time music. I've had the chance to play with Doc a few times, and after a festival once, I went home and wrote this little song a song of thanks to Doc Watson. Well, thank you, Doc Watson, for teaching me this lick. I only wish compared to you I played her half as slick. Yeah, when I was a kid I played your records through and through. Wondered how a mortal man could pick it like you do. Now I'm a pickin' fool and I blame it all on you. Doc Watson, for picking your guitar. Thanks to you, I know what this old flat pick is for. Yeah, those old tunes from Deep Gap, they mean a lot to me. So thanks to you and Merle and his mama Rosalie, I just want to offer up my doxology. So thank you, Doc Watson, picking your guitar. Doxology. Here's a little story song. Well, she moved up here with her boyfriend, but that didn't last as long as she had planned. Now her only ticket out of here is a fiddle case she's holding in her hand. She walked into a music store and gave that broken violin to an old man who'd seen quite a few. He said, "This thing ain't worth much, but I'll give you $20. You can take it or you can leave it. It's up to you." Well, she said, "I was hoping you could do a little better for me, sir. You see, that fiddle was my grandmother's, and her grandpa had given it to her. And I know it's old and busted, and all the strings are rusted, but it sure has played sweet music in its day. And it breaks my heart to sell it, but that Greyhound costs money. If I'm going home, there's just no other way." Well, the old man looked her over and he watched her wipe a teardrop from her eye. Then he opened up that fiddle case and held it up a little closer to the light. He looked inside the fiddle, trying to read the label. When he did, he muttered with a sigh, "Well, I guess I was hasty when I told you $20. Would you take 125? Well, she gratefully accepted, and she said, "Whatever changed your mind?" He said, "Sometimes when you look a little closer, it's surprising what you find." He said a very famous maker had made that violin, and that's what contributes to the price. And as he counted out the money, she said, "I'm so happy you took the time to look into it twice." Well, I was there when it happened. When she left, I walked up to the old man. And I asked him, "Could I see that broken violin you're holding in your hand?" I was curious to find out just who was that famous maker. When I read the label, then I knew. It said, "Made by Sears and Roebuck, a beginner student model, Chicago, 1962. Well, I'm not an expert, but I know a little bit about the trade. And I know that broken violin wasn't worth the money that he paid. I said, "These mail-order fiddles ain't worth a dime a dozen. You'll never turn a profit if you tried." I said, "What you bought and paid for was that little lady's story. And it appears to me that pretty woman lied." Well, Well, if you think I'm sentimental, he said, son, you made a big mistake. And he invited me to look inside that old beat-up leather fiddle case. And there I saw a fiddlestick with fancy silver winding and parts carved out of ivory, white as snow. He said, I'm no fool, son, I know that fiddle's worthless, but I can get $500 for the bow. Well, I left there thinking about the deal that those two good people made. How the old man and the young girl both got what they wanted in the trade. But if you were to ask me for a moral to the story, I'd be the first to tell you, I don't know. 'Cause she sold him a story and he bought him a fiddle, but all he ever wanted was the bow. And that's the story of the fiddle and the bow. People ask me if that's a true story. And I'll say no, but it could be. Could have been a true story. I've seen a lot of Fiddle Deals go down in my day. And it's surprising to folks sometimes to learn that a fiddle bow can cost so much, because they can be expensive. Any old bow could cost you $100, $200, and a good one can cost thousands of dollars. But they all look pretty much the same. It comes as a big surprise to guitar players who can go out and spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on a great guitar and then get the world's best guitar pick for 25 cents. But the bow is a lot more important than that, because it makes the fiddle sing. And I am in love with fiddle and fiddle tunes. It's a question that I've heard before. And all that I can say to that is no, sir. No, sir. I have played a tune in the dark on the porch of a prairie farm. The summer rain coming down so straight, you could set your chair right there on the edge of the porch and keep bone dry. Such straight, regular rain, they say, is good for the crop. Good for tunes, too, I say, deep in the night, listening to the corn. And I remember a tune one winter afternoon up north, fiddling after chores, the sun staring in through a wet kitchen window, all ice outside, all steam inside. My chair tips back. The wood stove snaps loudly, popping irregular time to the steppy tunes. Flannel and coffee, biscuits and boots. I've played tunes at the town hall dance on a fine spring evening when everybody shows, joking with the caller, shaking off winter, stretching limbs, swapping partners for neighbors, long lines forward and back. Good, healthy tempos break the first real sweat. And look outside, the sun still up on a fine green evening. And then there is a tune I know that plays just like a cold November morning. Sober, inside looking out. A cold gray air that once chords unresolved, turning into the mist like so many leaves, riven and broken, returning from sky to earth after fall calls them home. I have played tunes, not songs, not voiceable, obvious, word-infested songs, but tunes. Each tune a puzzle, each one a box with its own proud secret. Each one its own smile sweetly shown. Each tune is a lesson pondered, pattern at once unique yet familiar, like snow crystals, like footprints, like the way the world is right now. That's what a tune is. And no, sir, they don't all sound the same to me. That little poem is called The Fiddler's Reply, which I wrote for all my fiddling friends, as a Christmas present a few years ago. Because the tunes don't all sound alike. Well, in this world of give and take, be careful what you do. The strings you pull to get things done are tugging back at you. They're tugging back at you. And It's been said so many times you might forget it's true. But the way you treat your neighbor, that's the way that he'll treat you. That's the way that she'll treat you. I say you better watch what you say. You better watch what you do. Cast your bread out on the water. It'll soon come back to you. It all comes back to you. A man had a sack of gold and he buried it in the ground. And when he died, all the people tried, but the gold could not be found. His gold could not be found. But a second man had a sack of gold and he spread it all around. He made his friends and his friends made him the richest man in town. He was the richest man in town. I say you better watch what you say. You better watch what you do. Cast your bread out on the water. It'll soon come back to you. It all comes back to you. Now some of us have plenty, and some of us have none, while some never seem to have enough. It's the way the world is run. That's the way this world is run. So just try to do your very best, and remember, when you do, the more you give, the more you get. It all comes back to you. It all comes back to you. I say you better watch what you say. You better watch what you do. Cast your bread out on the water. It'll soon come back to you. It all comes back to you. I say you better watch what you say. You better watch what you do. Cast your bread out on the water. It'll soon come back to you. It all comes back to you. And it certainly does. Thanks for watching, folks. Leave you with an old fiddle tune on the guitar called Rock the Cradle Joe.